You stupid bitch, this is all your fault. The words barely registered before Ethan's fist slammed into Leia's jaw. She tasted blood. Her vision blurred. 7 years of marriage and she'd never seen this coming. His hand wrapped around her throat, squeezing until her lungs burned. She clawed at his fingers, desperate, dying. Ethan, please. The knife came out of nowhere, sharp, cold, sliding between her ribs like it belonged there. Her husband's face, the face she'd kissed goodnight 1,000 times, hovered above hers, twisted with rage she didn't recognize. He yanked the blade out, stabbed again, again. She was going to die on her own kitchen floor, and the man killing her had promised to love her forever. Before we dive into Leia's nightmare in the dangerous world she's about to enter, hit that subscribe button and stay until the very end to see how a bleeding victim becomes an untouchable queen. Drop a comment with your city name so I can see how far this story reaches across the globe. Now let's begin. No, Ethan, stop! Leia's scream cut off as his boot connected with her ribs. The crack echoed through their penthouse like a gunshot. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only curl into herself as her husband kicked her again. 7 years, Ethan roared, grabbing a fistful of her hair and yanking her head back. 7 years I've supported your pathetic ass, and this is how you repay me. I don't understand. Blood filled her mouth. She spat it onto their expensive marble floor. What did I... Shut up. He backhanded her so hard, her neck snapped to the side. Stars exploded across her vision. You went through my office. You saw the files. I was looking for stamps. The words came out in a desperate sob. Just stamps for the bills I didn't. Liar. The knife appeared in his hand like magic. No, not magic. He'd planned this. The blade gleamed under their crystal chandelier, and Leia's brain couldn't process what she was seeing. This was Ethan. Sweet, charming Ethan, who brought her coffee in bed. Ethan, who'd proposed on a beach in Santorini. Ethan, who was going to kill her. Please, she begged, hating how broken she sounded. Please, I won't tell anyone. I don't even know what I saw. That's the problem. His voice went cold, flat, scarier than the rage. You saw. The first stab felt like ice and fire colliding in her gut. Leia gasped, her hands flying to her stomach, feeling warmth, blood. Oh God, so much blood spreading across her dress. The blue dress Ethan had bought her for their anniversary last month. He stabbed her again and again. She crumpled. The floor was cold against her cheek. Footsteps, his Armani loafers clicking away from her dying body, faded into silence. A door slammed. She tried to call for help, but only a wet gurgle escaped her lips. This is how I die, she thought, bleeding out in Versace heels. The irony might have been funny if she wasn't drowning in her own blood. Darkness crept in from the edges of her vision. She could feel her heartbeat slowing, each thump weaker than the last. Part of her welcomed it, the peace that came with letting go. No more fear, no more pain, no more pretending her marriage was perfect while hiding bruises under long sleeves. Then she heard it. Voices, shouting, the door splintering. Jesus Christ, she's hemorrhaging. Get pressure on that wound now. Boss, she's not breathing. Then make her breathe. Hands, so many hands pressing, lifting, moving her. Pain exploded through her body worse than the stabbing, and she tried to scream, but nothing came out. Stay with me. A male voice, commanding and unfamiliar. Don't you dare die. Not yet. Why not, she wanted to ask. What's the point? But consciousness slipped away before she could form the words. So pain dragged her back to awareness. Not the sharp stabbing pain of before. This was a deep throbbing ache that radiated from her core and spread through every nerve ending. Leia's eyes fluttered open. White ceiling, gold trim, a chandelier that cost more than her car. You're awake. She turned her head slowly, carefully toward the voice. A man sat in a leather chair near the window, backlit by a morning sun that made him look like something out of a painting. Dark hair, darker suit, and eyes that assessed her like she was a chess piece he was deciding whether to keep or sacrifice. Who? Her throat felt like she'd swallowed glass. Where? Adrian Moreau. He stood buttoning his jacket with practiced ease. And you're in my home. How much do you remember? Everything. She remembered everything. Ethan's fists, the knife, the blood. He tried to kill me, she whispered. He did kill you. Adrian moved closer and Leia could see the flecks of gold in his irises now. Twice. Your heart stopped in my car, again on the operating table. My doctor brought you back both times. Why, boom. Why what? Why did I save you, or why did your husband try to murder you in your own kitchen? Both. Adrian's smile was sharp enough to cut. Your husband owes my family money, a lot of money, as for why he tried to kill you. He pulled out a phone, tapped the screen, held it up. Security footage played Ethan in their home office, pulling files from his safe, his face tight with panic. You saw something you shouldn't have, and Ethan Thorne doesn't leave loose ends. Leia stared at the footage, her mind struggling to process. I didn't see anything. I was just looking for stamps. Doesn't matter what you saw. Adrian pocketed the phone. Matters what he thinks you saw. I don't understand any of this. Then let me make it simple. Adrian sat on the edge of her bed close enough that she could smell his cologne, something expensive and dangerous. Your husband is a money launderer for organized crime. He moves cash for the Viscari family. And 3 months ago, he got greedy and skimmed $15 million off the top. The number hit her like a physical blow. 15, that's insane. It's theft. From my family, which means Ethan has a debt to pay. What does this have to do with me? Everything. Adrian's gaze pinned her in place. Because as of 2 days ago, Leia Thorne is officially dead. We filed the death certificate, paid off the coroner. Your husband identified a body not yours, but close enough, and is currently planning your funeral. The room spun. You can't, that's illegal. So is murder. So is money laundering. We're way past legal, Mrs. Thorne. Stop calling me that. What should I call you then, because legally you don't exist anymore? Leia's breath came in short, sharp gasps. This wasn't real. Couldn't be real. She was dreaming, hallucinating, dead. Breathe. Adrian's hand touched her shoulder, surprisingly gentle. You're having a panic attack. Breathe. I can't. Yes, you can. In through your nose. Hold. Out through your mouth. She followed his instructions, hating that it helped. Hating that this stranger, this criminal, was the calmest thing in her collapsing world. Better, he asked after a minute. No. Honest, I appreciate that. He stood straightening his cuffs. You have a choice to make. What choice? Stay here under my protection and help me take down your husband and everyone he works with. Or leave, and I'll give you enough cash to disappear for a while. Maybe 6 months before Ethan finds you and finishes the job. That's not a choice. It's the only one you have. Before Leia could respond, the door opened. A woman entered, tall, silver-haired, with the kind of bone structure that spoke of old money and older power. She looked at Leia like someone might look at a stain on expensive carpet. She's awake, the woman said. Not a question. Obviously. Adrian's tone shifted, cooler, more formal. Does she understand the situation? We're getting there. The woman's ice-chip eyes fixed on Leia. I'm Marguerite Moreau, Adrian's mother, and you, my dear, are either the luckiest or unluckiest woman alive. I haven't decided which. Mother. Don't mother me. Marguerite moved to the window, her movements precise and controlled. The Viscari meeting is in 90 minutes. You need to be there, and we need to know if she's an asset or a liability. She's recovering from multiple stab wounds. I'm aware. I paid the doctor's bill. Marguerite turned back to Leia. Can you stand? I don't know. Try. She needs rest. She needs to be useful. Marguerite's voice could have frozen fire. Ethan Thorne stole from us, attempted to murder his wife, and is currently spreading lies about our family to the Viscaras. So forgive me if I'm not concerned about her comfort. Fury sparked in Leia's chest, hot and bright and welcome after days of fear. I didn't ask to be here. No, Marguerite agreed, but here you are. So the question is, what are you going to do about it? What do you want from me? Information, cooperation, and eventually testimony that will bury your husband and everyone who helped him. And if I refuse, Marguerite's smile was all teeth, then you're a liability, and we eliminate liabilities. Mother, that's enough. Is it? Marguerite moved closer to the bed, her presence suffocating. She needs to understand the reality of her situation. This isn't a rescue, a dry area. This is a transaction. We saved her life. Now she owes us. I don't owe you anything. Leia said, her voice shaking but firm. You saved me for your own benefit, not out of kindness. Silence fell like a guillotine. Then Marguerite laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. Oh, I like her. She has spine. Told you, Adrian murmured. Fine, she can stay. But Adrian, Marguerite's expression hardened. Get her ready for the meeting. If Ethan's there, I want her visible. I want him to see what survival looks like. She swept out of the room, leaving tension thick enough to choke on. Leia looked at Adrian. What meeting? The one where your husband explains to the Viscari family why $15 million disappeared. Adrian checked his watch. And where you make your first appearance as a ghost. I can barely walk. Then we'll get you a wheelchair. But you're going, Leia, because right now you're the only leverage I have against a man who thinks he's untouchable. I never asked to be leverage. No, you asked to survive. This is the price. The words hit her like a slap, but underneath the anger, underneath the fear, something else stirred. Something dark and hungry and utterly foreign to the woman she'd been 3 days ago. If I do this, she said slowly, I want something in return. Name it. I want to watch him suffer. The words tasted like poison and power. I want Ethan to pay for every lie, every bruise, every time he made me feel small. I want to destroy him. Adrian's smile was slow and dangerous. Mrs. Thorne, I think we're going to get along just fine. 90 minutes later, Leia sat in a wheelchair outside a conference room wearing a black dress that cost more than her wedding gown and makeup that covered most of her bruises. Her hands shook. She clenched them in her lap. You don't have to do this, said a voice beside her. Leia looked up. A woman stood there, younger than Marguerite, with dark curls and kind eyes. I'm Celine, Adrian's sister. Another Moreau here to threaten me. No, I'm here to tell you that if you want to walk away right now, I'll help you. Celine knelt beside the wheelchair. What they're asking you to do facing Ethan like this, it's cruel. He stabbed me and left me to die. I know, and you don't owe him anything, but you don't owe us anything either. Leia studied this woman who was offering her an escape. Part of her wanted to take it to run far and fast and never look back. But the larger part, the part that had woken up in her when Marguerite demanded usefulness, wanted something else entirely. I'm not walking away, Leia said. I'm walking through. Celine's expression shifted surprise, then respect. All right then, let's make you unforgettable. The conference room doors opened. Voices spilled out, male angry arguing. Leia's heart hammered. She couldn't see inside from her angle, but she could hear Ethan. Told you I don't know where the money went. Someone in your organization must have. Are you calling me a thief, Thorne? A new voice, cold and lethal. No, I'm saying there's been a mistake. The only mistake, Adrian's voice cut in smooth as silk over steel, was trusting you in the first place. Moreau, I swear on my wife's grave. Your wife's grave? Adrian sounded almost amused. How interesting. Tell me, Ethan, when's the funeral? Friday, why does that? Because I have a gift for you, for something I think you'll find illuminating. Silence. Then Adrian appeared in the doorway, his eyes finding Leia's. He nodded once. This was it. Celine wheeled her forward. The conference room was enormous mahogany table, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 6 men sat around the table, all turning to look as she entered. But Leia only saw one. Ethan sat at the far end, his face pale, his suit wrinkled. When his eyes landed on her, every drop of blood drained from his face. He stood so fast his chair toppled backward. No, he breathed. No, that's not. You're dead. I saw. You saw what we wanted you to see, Adrian said, moving to stand beside Leia's wheelchair. Meet my associate, Mr. Thorne. I believe you two know each other. This is a trick, some kind of, she's dead, I identified the body. You identified a Jane Doe. Adrian's smile was razor sharp. Money well spent, I think. One of the other men, older with silver hair and dead eyes, leaned forward. Moreau, what is this? This Don Viscari is evidence. Adrian pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen. Video footage played Ethan in their penthouse stabbing Leia over and over. The angles suggested a security camera she'd never known existed. Evidence that Ethan Thorne is not only a thief, but also a murderer. Or attempted murderer, I should say. That's fake. Ethan was backing toward the door now. You doctored that footage. Did I doctor the hospital records too? The police reports, the testimony. Dr. Rousseau is prepared to give in court. Don Viscari's expression didn't change, but something shifted in the room. A predator scenting blood. You tried to kill your wife. She was going to rat us out. She saw the files. I was looking for stamp. Leia's voice rang out stronger than she felt. Every head turned toward her. I was looking for stamps to mail the gas bill, and you decided that was worth killing me over. You're lying. Am I? She gripped the wheelchair arms, using them to push herself to her feet. Pain screamed through her torso, but she refused to show it. Tell them about the first time you hit me, Ethan. Our second anniversary. I burned the pot roast. Ethan's face went white. Tell them about the broken ribs from last Christmas. I laughed too loud at your colleague's joke. Leia, stop. Tell them about the black eye I covered with makeup for your mother's funeral. I asked if you were okay. Shut up. Make me. She took a step forward, then another, each movement, agony. But she'd spent 7 years being small and quiet and afraid. Not anymore. You want me dead so badly, Ethan? Here I am. Finish the job, he lunged. Adrian moved like lightning, intercepting Ethan mid-charge and slamming him against the conference table. The crack of bone on wood echoed through the room. Touch her, Adrian said quietly, and I'll cut off your hands. Enough, Don Viscari stood buttoning his jacket. Moreau, your point is made. Ethan Thorne is clearly unstable, a liability to our operations. The Don's gaze swept over Ethan like he was garbage. He's all yours. No, Don Viscari, please, I can explain. You stole from us, lied to us, and tried to murder a woman over postage stamps. The Don's voice never rose above conversational, but the contempt dripped from every word. We're done. He walked out. The other men followed, none of them looking at Ethan. The door closed. Silence fell. Ethan sagged in Adrian's grip, all the fight draining out of him. Leia, he whispered. Leia, please, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was scared. The money I needed. Stop talking! Leia moved closer until she was inches from his face. I spent 7 years apologizing to you. For breathing wrong. For existing. I'm done apologizing, and so are you. She turned to Adrian. I want him prosecuted. For everything. That can be arranged. And I want to testify, in court, in public. I want everyone to know what he did. Adrian's smile was proud and dangerous. Consider it done. You can't do this, Ethan thrashed in Adrian's grip. I'll tell them everything about the Moreaus, about the shipments, about what? Adrian's voice dropped to something lethal. You have no proof, no allies, no leverage. You're nothing, Thorne, and nothing is exactly what you'll die as. Security appeared, 2 massive men who hauled Ethan toward the door. His screams faded as they dragged him away. Then it was just Leia and Adrian in the enormous conference room. That, Adrian said, was extraordinary. Leia's legs gave out. She would have hit the floor if Adrian hadn't caught her, his arms surprisingly gentle as he lowered her back into the wheelchair. I think I'm going to be sick, she whispered. Adrenaline crash, completely normal. Nothing about this is normal. True. Adrian knelt in front of her, his dark eyes serious. But you were magnificent anyway. I was terrified. Bravery isn't the absence of fear. It's acting despite it. Tears burned Leia's eyes. She'd held them back during the confrontation, refused to give Ethan the satisfaction, but now they spilled over. He was going to kill me. I know. If you hadn't found me. But I did. Adrian's hand covered hers. And now he'll pay for what he did. I promise you that. Why? The question burst out of her. Why do you care? I'm nothing to you. You're not nothing. Adrian stood, his expression unreadable. You're someone who's survived the unsurvivable. Who stood in front of her abuser and didn't flinch. That's not nothing, Leia. That's everything. The words settled into her chest, warm and unfamiliar. Before she could respond, Celine appeared in the doorway. The doctor's here to check her stitches, she said. And Mother wants to see you, Adrian. Of course she does. Adrian looked at Leia. Rest. We'll talk more tomorrow. He left, and Celine wheeled her back to her room. The doctor, a kind-faced man with gentle hands, examined her wounds, pronounced her healing well, and gave her stronger pain medication. When she was finally alone, Leia lay in the dark and replayed the day. Ethan's face when he saw her. The Don's contempt. her own voice strong and sure demanding justice. For the first time in 7 years, she felt something other than fear. She felt powerful, and God help anyone who tried to take that away from her. Laya woke to screaming, not her own, someone else's, distant and muffled, coming from somewhere below. She bolted upright, instantly regretting it as pain tore through her abdomen. The clock on the nightstand read 3:47 a.m. The screaming stopped. Her door flew open. Celine stood there in silk pajamas, her face pale. Get dressed, now. What's happening? Someone breached the perimeter. Adrian thinks it's Ethan's people. Celine threw open the closet, pulling out dark jeans and a sweater. We're moving you to the safe house. Moving me, Laya, please, Celine's voice cracked. I don't have time to argue. Get dressed or I'll dress you myself. 5 minutes later, Laya was being half carried down a back staircase she hadn't known existed. Her wounds screamed with every step, but Celine's grip was iron. They emerged into an underground garage where 3 black SUVs idled, exhaust curling in the cold air. Adrian appeared from behind one of the vehicles, a gun in his hand. Get her in the middle seat now. What about you, Celine asked him. I'm staying. This is my house. Adrian, go! His voice was pure command. A man Laya didn't recognize opened the SUV door. She was being pushed inside when gunfire erupted, sharp cracks that echoed off concrete. The man beside her jerked, blood blooming across his shoulder. He fell. Drive now. Adrian was returning fire, his movements precise and terrifying. The SUV peeled out, throwing Laya against the seat. She twisted to look out the back window and saw Adrian disappear behind a pillar, still firing. Then the garage entrance exploded in a ball of flame, and she couldn't see anything through the smoke. Did he? Adrian can handle himself. The driver's voice was calm, professional. Ma'am, please put on your seatbelt. Who are you, Tim? Marcus, head of Mr. Moreau's security, and right now my job is keeping you alive. The SUV took a corner so fast, Laya slammed into the door. Behind them, headlights appeared, 3 cars coming fast. We've got company, Marcus said into his radio. 3 vehicles, possibly armed, initiating evasive protocol. The world became a blur of screeching tires and sharp turns. Laya's stomach lurched as they jumped a curb, cut through an alley, emerged onto a highway going 90. The pursuing cars stayed close, weaving through traffic like they didn't care who they killed. A window shattered. Glass rained down. Get down! Marcus yanked the wheel hard right. They sideswiped, a sedan kept going. Dispatch, this is Alpha 1. We are under active fire. Repeat, active fire. Request immediate. The radio exploded in a shower of sparks. Marcus cursed, threw the vehicle into a skid that had them facing backward, then forward again. Hold on! They crashed through a construction barrier. Laya's head cracked against something hard. Stars exploded across her vision. When she could see again, they were on a side street, the pursuing cars nowhere in sight. Did we lose them? She gasped. For now. Marcus's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel. But they'll find us again. They always do. Who are they? If I had to guess, Viscari's cleanup crew. You embarrassed them today. They don't forget that. I thought the Don was done with Ethan. He is, but you made him look weak in front of his men. That's a death sentence in our world. The casual way he said it made Laya's blood run cold. So what, they're going to kill me to save face? They're going to tripo. Marcus met her eyes in the rearview mirror. My job is making sure they fail. They drove in silence for another 20 minutes, taking random turns, doubling back, ensuring they weren't followed. Finally, Marcus pulled into an underground parking structure beneath a nondescript office building. We're here, son. Where's here? Somewhere safe for now. He led her to an elevator that required a key card and a thumbprint. They rose 13 floors in silence. When the doors opened, Laya stepped into a penthouse that made Adrian's mansion look modest. Holy, Mr. Moreau's backup residence, Marcus explained. Only 5 people know about this place. Now 6. Is Adrian okay? Haven't heard otherwise. But Marcus's expression was tight. Make yourself comfortable. I'll be right outside. The door closed and Laya was alone. She moved through the penthouse like a ghost, taking in the expensive furniture, the original artwork, the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. This was the life Ethan had promised her, luxury, security, comfort. But Ethan's version had been a lie wrapped in designer labels. This was a cage made of bulletproof glass. Her phone rang. She didn't recognize the number. Hello? You're harder to kill than I expected. Ethan's voice made her skin crawl. I'm impressed. How did you get this number? I have friends. More than you think. He paused. Did you really think Moreau could protect you? The Viscaris want you dead, Laya. And what the Viscaris want, they get. You sent them. I made a deal. Your life for my freedom. His voice hardened. Should have stayed dead, baby. Would have been easier for everyone. Go to hell. I'll see you there. The line went dead. Leia threw the phone across the room. It shattered against the wall. Her hands were shaking. No, her entire body was shaking. She sank to the floor, pressing her palms against the cold marble, trying to ground herself. The door burst open. Marcus rushed in, gun drawn. What happened? Ethan called. He said the Viscaris want me dead. That he made a deal. Marcus's expression went dark. That motherfucker. How did he get this number? I don't know. That phone was clean, brand new, which means we have a leak. Marcus was already on his radio. This is Alpha 1. We have a security breach. Lock down all communications. I repeat, lockdown. The lights went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Marcus moved to the window, his body tense. Stay down. What's happening? Someone cut the power. He raised his radio. Alpha 1 to base. We are dark. Need backup immediately. Static. Shit. Marcus moved to the door, tested the handle. Locked. They've locked us in. Whoever wants you dead. He pulled a second gun from his ankle holster and held it out to her. Do you know how to use this? No safeties here. Point and shoot. Don't hesitate. He pressed it into her trembling hands. If someone comes through that door who isn't me or Mr. Moreau, you fire. Understand? Leia nodded, the gun heavy and wrong in her grip. Marcus positioned himself by the door, his own weapon raised. They waited. Seconds stretched into minutes. Leia's heart hammered so loud she was sure anyone in the building could hear it. Then footsteps. Heavy. Multiple people. The door exploded inward. Marcus fired. Someone screamed. More gunfire deafening in the enclosed space. Marcus went down, blood spreading across his chest. Leia screamed, raised the gun with shaking hands and pulled the trigger. The recoil nearly broke her wrist. The shot went wide, punching into the ceiling. A man in black tactical gear rushed her. She fired again. This time she hit something his shoulder. He spun, cursed, kept coming. Leia pulled the trigger a third time. Click. Empty. The man's fist connected with her jaw. She went down hard, the gun skittering away. He grabbed her hair, yanked her up, pressed a knife to her throat. Move and I cut, he growled. Please. Shut up. He dragged her toward the door. Two more men in tactical gear stood in the hallway, both armed. We got her. Let's move. They hauled her into the elevator. The man with the knife kept the blade against her throat, his breath hot and sour on her neck. Going down, down, down. The doors opened to the parking garage. A van waited, engine running. They were shoving her toward it when headlights blazed to life. An SUV came screaming around the corner, T-boned the van. Metal shrieked. The man holding Leia stumbled. She wrenched free, ran 3 steps before pain from her wounds dropped her to her knees. The SUV's door flew open. Adrian stepped out and he looked like death personified. Blood on his face. Murder in his eyes. A gun in each hand. Get away from her. The tactical team raised their weapons. Adrian was faster. He dropped 2 of them before they could fire. The third, the one who'd held the knife to Leia's throat, grabbed her again, using her as a shield. Back off or I kill her. Adrian didn't even slow down. No, you won't. I will. I swear to God. You won't. Adrian's voice was eerily calm. Because the second you hurt her, you lose your only leverage. And then I'll take my time killing you. Hours. Maybe days. I'm creative when I'm angry. The man's grip loosened. Just a fraction. Just enough. Leia slammed her head backward, connecting with his nose. She heard the crunch, felt his grip release, and threw herself sideways. Adrian's gun barked once. The man crumpled. Then Adrian was pulling her up, checking her over with quick, efficient movements. Are you hurt? I can't. Marcus, he's upstairs. He's been shot. I know. Medical team's already with him. Adrian's hands framed her face, forcing her to look at him. Leia, focus. Are you injured? I don't think so. Good. He pulled her toward his SUV. We need to leave, now. They were pulling out of the garage when Leia saw them 3 more black vans blocking the exit. Men poured out at least a dozen all armed. Oh, God. Hold on. Adrian floored it. They smashed through the blockade. Bullets shredded the windows. Leia ducked, covering her head as glass rained down. The SUV fishtailed, straightened, and rocketed into the street. Behind them, the vans gave chase. This is insane, Leia shouted over the roar of the engine. This is Tuesday. Adrian yanked the wheel, sending them careening down a side street. Welcome to my world. Your world is trying to kill me. Technically, it's your husband's world. I'm just the guide. A bullet punched through the headrest beside Leia's head. She screamed. Adrian cursed, swerved into oncoming traffic. Horns blared. They missed a bus by inches. There's too many of them, Leia gasped. We can't watch. Adrian grabbed his phone, hit a speed dial. Now! The street ahead exploded. Not literally, but close. 3 SUVs appeared from nowhere, boxing in their pursuers. Gunfire erupted. The chase vehicles spun out, crashed, stopped. Within seconds, the Viscari's men were surrounded. Adrian didn't slow down. What just happened? Leia asked. Back up. I called them 10 minutes ago. You knew they'd attack the safe house. I suspected. His jaw was tight. Ethan told them where you were. We have a mole. In your organization. Has to be. That phone number was classified. The safe house location was need to know. He took another sharp turn, finally slowing as they entered a residential neighborhood. Someone close to me is feeding information to the Viscaris. Who? That's what I intend to find out. They pulled into a garage attached to a modest suburban house. The door closed behind them automatically. Adrian killed the engine and just sat there for a moment, his hands still gripping the wheel. You saved my life, Leia said quietly. You saved your own life. That move with the headbutt, impressive. I panicked. You survived. He turned to look at her, and something in his expression made her breath catch. Most people freeze. You fought. I'm tired of being a victim. Good, because I need you to be a fighter. He got out of the SUV, came around to open her door. Come on, we have work to do. The house was small, neat, completely normal. It reminded Leia of the home she'd grown up in, modest furniture, family photos on the walls, a kitchen that actually looked used. This is yours, she asked. My grandmother's. She passed 2 years ago. I keep it maintained. Adrian moved to the kitchen, started making coffee like he'd done it 1,000 times. It's the one place in this city nobody associates with me. Except now they know about the penthouse, which means they'll find this eventually too. He poured 2 mugs, handed her one. We have maybe 6 hours before we need to move again. Leia's hands shook as she took the mug. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving her hollow and scared. I can't do this. I can't keep running. Then we stop running. Abha. We go on offense. Adrian's eyes were hard. We find the mole. We expose Ethan's entire operation. And we make the Viscaras regret ever hearing your name. That sounds like a suicide mission. Probably. He took a sip of coffee, but it's better than hiding. Is it? You tell me you want to spend the rest of your life looking over your shoulder, jumping at shadows, letting them control you through fear. No. God, no. She'd spent 7 years controlled by fear. Ethan's fists, his rages, his threats. She wasn't going back to that, not for anyone. What do you need me to do? She asked. Adrian's smile was sharp and dangerous. First, we need to make Ethan think he won. Let him believe you're dead. Again. How Chashain, we stage your death publicly, make it believable enough that even the Viscaras buy it. And then you become a ghost, and ghosts can go places the living can't. He set down his mug. But I need to know you're committed, because once we start this, there's no going back. You'll be burning every bridge to your old life. Leia thought about her old life, the friends who'd stopped calling after she married Ethan, the family she'd pushed away because hiding the bruises was easier than explaining them, the job she'd quit because Ethan said wives didn't work. What exactly was she burning? I'm in, she said. You're sure? Ufti. Ethan tried to kill me twice. The Viscaris just tried to kidnap me. My old life is already gone. She met his eyes. So yeah, I'm sure. Then we start tonight. Adrian pulled out his phone. I'm calling in some favors. By morning, Leah Thorne will be officially dead, killed in a home invasion. Tragic. Senseless. And the real me, the real you gets a new name, new identity, and a front row seat to watching your husband's world collapse. He made 3 calls in rapid succession, each conversation clipped and coded. When he finished, he looked exhausted. Done. The body will be discovered at dawn. Female, your approximate age and build. Dental records will be inconclusive. Where did you get a body? Don't ask questions you don't want answered. The casual one he said it reminded Leah exactly who she was dealing with. This wasn't some white knight rescuing her from danger. This was a man who'd built an empire on violence and fear. A man who could procure corpses with 3 phone calls. Are you afraid of me? Adrian asked, watching her face. Should I be? Probably, he leaned against the counter. I'm not a good man, Leah. I've done things that would make your husband look like a saint. But you saved me. For my own purposes. Don't romanticize it. I'm not. She set down her coffee. But you also could have let Marcus use me as bait. Could have traded me to the Viscaris for peace. You didn't. No, I didn't. Why, Adrian was quiet for a long moment. Because I know what it's like to be expendable. To have people who should protect you treat you like a commodity. His expression was distant, haunted. My father used to trade family members like poker chips, marry them off to rival families, sacrifice them for territorial gains. When I was 16, he tried to sell my sister to a man 3 times her age to secure a shipping route. What did you do? I killed the man, and then I killed my father. The words hung in the air like smoke. Leah should have been horrified. Instead, she felt something else entirely understanding. How old was your sister? She asked. 14. You protected her. I destroyed her. His voice was hollow. She loved our father, idolized him, and I took that away from her. She's never forgiven me. Is that why your mother hates you? My mother doesn't hate me. She just wishes I was more like my father. Calculating. Willing to sacrifice anything for power. He met Leah's eyes. But I won't. Not anymore. Which is why you're here instead of in a Viscari warehouse being tortured for information. You're not as bad as you think you are. And you're not as weak as you think you are. He pushed off the counter. Get some rest. We have a long day tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Your funeral, and then the real work begins. Leah woke 6 hours later to voices arguing downstairs. She crept to the top of the stairs listening. Absolutely insane even for you. That was Celine. It's the only way. Adrian's voice tired but firm. The only way to what? Get yourself killed. Get her killed. To end this, the Viscaris, Ethan, all of it. I'm tired of playing defense. So you're going to waltz into their headquarters and demand they leave her alone. They'll shoot you on sight. Not if I have leverage. What leverage? Silence. Then Adrian said, I have proof of everything. The Viscaria's operations, their partnerships, their ties to legitimate businesses. Enough to bring down their entire empire. Where did you get? Celine's voice dropped to a whisper Leah couldn't hear. Doesn't matter. What matters is that if anything happens to Leah or me, that information goes to the FBI, the SEC, and every major news outlet in the country. That's mutually assured destruction. Exactly. They can't touch us without destroying themselves. Unless they decide you're bluffing, then we'll have bigger problems. Footsteps. Is Marcus stable? He'll live. 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, but he'll live. Celine's voice shook. He almost died protecting her, Adrian. How many more people have to bleed for this? None, if I do this right. Leah descended the stairs. Both of them turned to look at him. Celine's eyes were red-rimmed from crying. Adrian looked like he hadn't slept. You can't trade your life for mine, Leah said. I'm not trading anything. I'm leveraging. It's the same thing. No, it's not. Adrian moved to the window, looking out at the pre-dawn darkness. Your funeral is in 3 hours. News outlets will report it as a home invasion gone wrong. Tragic young woman killed in her own apartment. Except I didn't have an apartment. You do now. Rented it 2 months ago under your maiden name. Kept it secret from your husband. Very realistic. The level of detail was staggering. How did you bow? I'm thorough. He turned back to her. Ethan will attend. So will several Viscari associates. They need to see the body believe you're dead. And when they do, then you disappear. New name, new life. I'll set you up anywhere you want. Europe, Asia, South America. Your choice. What about you? I'll handle the Viscaras. By yourself. I have resources. Stop. Leia across the room stood in front of him. Stop acting like you're expendable. Like your life matters less than mine. My life has been violent since the day I was born. Yours shouldn't be. It already is. Ethan made sure of that. She grabbed his arm. So stop trying to save me and let me help you instead. Adrian stared at her for, you have no idea what you're asking. Then tell me. Taking down the Viscaris means war. Real war. People will die. Probably people you've never met. Definitely people who don't deserve it. His voice was hard. That's the world I live in. And once you're in it, you can't get out. I'm already in it. The second you pulled me out of that penthouse, I was in it. This is different. How? Because this time you're choosing it. He pulled away from her, and I need you to understand, really understand what that choice means. Then explain it to me. Adrian was silent for a long moment. Then he nodded. Follow me. He led her to the basement. It was finished, surprisingly wood paneling, soft lighting, comfortable furniture. But in the corner sat a locked cabinet. Adrian opened it with a key from his pocket. Inside were files, dozens of them, photos, documents, recordings. This is everything I have on the Viscaris, he said, pulling out a file. Roberto Viscari, age 67, runs the family's legitimate businesses, also orders executions. He opened the file. The photos inside made Leia's stomach turn. Bodies, crime scene surveillance shots. 23 confirmed kills, probably double that unconfirmed. He pulled out another file. Marco Viscari, Roberto's nephew, handles trafficking, drugs, weapons, people. More photos. Leia had to look away. Should I continue? Adrian asked quietly. No, I get it. They're monsters. They're businessmen. In their world, violence is just another tool. He closed the files, and if we go after them, they'll use every tool they have to destroy us. I don't care. You should. Why? Leia turned to face him. Because I might die. Ethan already tried that. Twice. At least this way I'm dying for something that matters. Your life matters. Does it? The question came out bitter. I spent 7 years as a trophy wife. No job, no friends, no purpose except making Ethan look good at parties. What exactly would I be losing? The chance to find out who you are without him. The words hit her harder than any of Ethan's punches ever had. She sank onto the basement couch, suddenly exhausted. I don't even know where to start. Adrian sat beside her. Then start here. With this choice. Help me take them down or don't. Either way, I'll keep you safe. You can't promise that. No, but I can try. Leia looked at the files scattered across the table, at the evidence of so much violence and death. This world had taken everything from her marriage, her safety, her innocence. But it had also given her something she'd never had before, a choice. I'm helping, she said, whatever it takes. Adrian studied her face. You're sure? Stop asking me that. I need to hear you say it one more time with full understanding of what you're committing to. Leia stood, looked him directly in the eyes. I, Leia Thorne, choose to help you destroy the Viscari family and everyone who helped them. I understand people will die. I understand I might be one of them. And I'm doing it anyway. Something shifted in Adrian's expression, respect maybe, or recognition. All right then, let's go to your funeral. The funeral home smelled like lilies and lies. Leia sat in the back of a surveillance van 3 blocks away, watching the service on a monitor. Her own face stared back at her from the casket photo, a wedding picture, airbrushed and smiling. She looked happy in it. She'd been miserable. He's here, Celine said, pointing at a second screen. Ethan stepped out of a black Mercedes flanked by 2 men in expensive suits. He was wearing the Armani she'd bought him for Christmas, the one he'd complained was too traditional. Now he wore it to her funeral. Is he crying? Leia leaned closer to the screen. Looks like it. Adrian's voice came through her earpiece. He was inside the funeral home posing as a distant cousin. Very convincing performance. Almost makes you forget he's the one who killed you. Twice, Leia muttered. On screen, Ethan approached the casket. He touched it gently, his shoulder is shaking. People nearby patted his back, murmured condolences. He looked destroyed. I'm going to be sick, Leia said. Focus. Adrian's voice was calm. Who's with him? Two men, both Viscari associates, according to facial recognition. Celine tapped her keyboard. Names coming up now. Vincent Corso and oh shit. What? Anthony DeLuca. He's Don Viscari's personal attorney. Why would they send the family lawyer to my funeral? Leia asked. To make sure you were really dead. Adrian's tone darkened. They don't trust Ethan any more than we do. On screen, DeLuca moved to the casket. He didn't touch it, didn't pray, just stared at the closed lid with cold calculation. Then he pulled out his phone, took a photo, and walked away. He's documenting it, Celine breathed, for the Don, which means the Don isn't convinced. Adrian moved through the crowd, staying out of frame. Leia, we might have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where they demand to see the body. Leia's stomach dropped. Can they do that? They can do whatever they want. Celine was typing frantically, but the funeral director was paid very well to refuse any requests to open the casket. Medical reasons, trauma to the... I don't need details, Leia interrupted. DeLuca was talking to the funeral director now. The director shook his head. DeLuca's expression hardened. He pulled out his phone again, made a call. This is bad, Celine whispered. Adrian, get out of there, Leia said into the microphone. Not yet. I need to hear what they're saying. Adrian, trust me. He moved closer to where DeLuca stood, pretending to study a flower arrangement. Leia watched her monitor, heart hammering. DeLuca was arguing with someone on the phone, his body language sharp, aggressive. Then he hung up and walked directly toward Ethan. You better hope she's really dead. DeLuca said, his voice low enough that only Adrian's wire caught it. Because if the Don finds out you're lying to him again, I'm not lying. Ethan's grief vanished, replaced by panic. I saw her die. I stabbed her myself. Then why does Moreau have security footage of her alive 2 days ago? Leia's blood turned to ice. That's impossible, Ethan stammered. Moreau's bluffing. He has to be. The Don doesn't take chances with the bluffs. So here's what's going to happen. DeLuca stepped closer, his voice dropping. We're opening that casket right now, and if there's anything other than your wife's corpse inside, you're the one going into the ground. You can't, the funeral director won't. The funeral director will do what I tell him, or his daughter's school bus takes a different route tomorrow. DeLuca smiled. Your choice. Ethan went white. Please, I'm telling the truth. She's dead. I swear on my life. You might be swearing with it. DeLuca turned toward the funeral director. Abort. Adrian's voice was sharp in Leia's ear. Celine, get us out of here. Now. The van's engine roared to life. Celine threw it into gear, pulling out so fast Leia slammed against the wall. What's happening? Leia grabbed the edge of the console to steady herself. They're opening the casket. Celine's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel. If the body doesn't match, it will match. Adrian's voice was strained. I made sure of it. How sure do you? Sure enough, I hope. The monitor showed DeLuca and 2 other men approaching the casket. The funeral director tried to block them. One of the men pulled a gun. The director stepped aside. Leia couldn't breathe. If the body wasn't convincing enough, if DeLuca suspected anything, they opened the casket. Silence fell over the funeral home. DeLuca stared down at the body. Ethan moved closer, his face a mask of forced sorrow. Leia couldn't see the body from the camera angle, could only watch their reactions. DeLuca pulled out his phone, took photos, lots of them. He's examining it closely, Celine said. This is bad. Then DeLuca closed the casket lid. Satisfied? The funeral director asked, his voice shaking. For now, DeLuca looked at Ethan. My condolences on your loss. The Don sends his regards. He walked out, his men followed. Ethan stood there trembling. Then he turned and vomited into a flower arrangement. Did we just pull that off? Leia asked. Looks like it. Adrian's voice held relief, but it was closer than I'd like. Where'd you get the body? A Jane Doe from the morgue. Died in a car accident 3 days ago. Similar age, similar build. I had our doctor make some adjustments. Make it look like stabbing trauma. Leia's stomach churned. That's necessary. Don't think about it too hard. But how could she not? Someone's daughter, mother, sister reduced to a prop in their elaborate lie. Another casualty in a war she hadn't asked to join. Leia, Adrian's voice softened. I know this is hard, but it worked. DeLuca bought it, which means the Don will too. And Ethan just watched his wife's corpse for the second time. He's going to have nightmares. There was a savage satisfaction in Adrian's tone. Good. The van pulled into an underground garage different from before, more secure. Celine killed the engine and turned to face Leia. You okay? She asked. No, but I don't think I'm supposed to be. You're right. You're not. Celine's expression was sad. Welcome to our world, Leia. It doesn't get easier. They climbed out of the van. Adrian was already there, having arrived separately. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened, his hair disheveled. That was too close, he said. But it worked. Leia forced strength into her voice. So what's next? Next, we moved to phase 2. Adrian led them to an elevator. You're officially dead, which means you're free to move around the city without anyone looking for you. As long as I don't run into anyone who knew me. We'll handle that. New hair color, colored contacts, different style. You'll be unrecognizable. And then, Mum, the elevator doors opened to reveal an operations center that looked like something out of a spy movie. Monitors covered one wall showing security feeds from across the city. A table held weapons documents, electronic equipment. 3 people looked up as they entered, 2 men and a woman, all wearing tactical gear. Leia, meet my team. Adrian gestured. Torres, former FBI, Hassan, ex-military intelligence, and Kim, the best hacker you'll never meet. Kim snorted. Flattery doesn't get you faster results. Worth a try. Adrian turned back to Leia. They're going to help us take down the Viscaris. How? Leia asked. Torres stepped forward holding a tablet. We've been tracking Viscari operations for 6 months. Shipments, payments, communications. We know where they move money, how they move it, and who helps them do it. The problem, Hassan added, is proving it in a way that holds up in court. The Viscaris are careful. Everything's compartmentalized. No paper trail. Except there is a trail. Adrian pulled up a file on the main screen. Your husband's records. He kept meticulous notes on every transaction. Leia stared at the screen. Spreadsheets, emails, scanned documents, all in Ethan's handwriting. How did you get these? From his home office. The one you were in when he decided you knew too much. But I didn't see, we know, but Ethan didn't know that. Adrian zoomed in on a particular email. He panicked, thought you'd found his insurance policy. Insurance policy. Against the Viscaris, if they ever turned on him, he'd have evidence to trade. Adrian's smile was sharp. Turns out that evidence is now ours. Kim looked up from her laptop. Boss, we've got movement. 3 Viscari vehicles just left the funeral, heading toward the warehouse district. Which warehouse? Adrian moved to stand behind her. The one on Pier 47, the one Ethan used for his imports. They're moving product. Hassan was already grabbing gear. If we move now, we could intercept. No, Adrian held up a hand. We're not ready for a direct confrontation. Not yet. When then? Torres demanded. We've been sitting on this intel for months. At some point, we have to act. We will. But strategically. Adrian turned to Leia. How much do you know about Ethan's business operations? Nothing. He never talked about work. Think harder. Did he have regular meetings? Phone calls at odd hours? Trips he took without explanation? Leia closed her eyes, thinking back. He traveled once a month, always the 3rd weekend. Said it was for property inspections. Where? Chicago, sometimes Detroit. Kim's fingers flew across her keyboard. Both cities have Viscari operations. Chicago handles their Midwest distribution. Detroit is a transfer point for Canadian shipments. What was he really doing there? Leia asked. Courier work. Adrian pulled up a calendar on the screen. See these dates? They match major money transfers. Ethan was physically moving cash across state lines. Why not just wire it? Too traceable. Cash is anonymous. Torres zoomed in on the calendar. And if these patterns hold, there should be another transfer this weekend. In Detroit, Hassan confirmed. Saturday night, $2 million moving from a front company to a legitimate real estate investment firm. $2 million. Leia's head spun. That's nothing. The Viscaris move 50 times that every month. Adrian's expression was grim. But this transfer is different. It's going through Ethan's old channels. which means they haven't updated their protocols since his death. Understanding dawned. You want to intercept it. Better, I want to redirect it. Adrian looked at Kim. Can you do it? Make it look like the transfer went through, but send the money somewhere else. Kim grinned. Give me 6 hours and the right access codes. Access code is don't I have, Torres pointed out. Actually, we might. Leia's mind was racing. Ethan kept a notebook, black leather about this big. She held up her hands. He wrote everything in it, called it his memory aid. Where is it? In his car, the Mercedes. He never went anywhere without it. Adrian and Torres exchanged glances. The Mercedes that was at the funeral should still be there. Hassan was already moving. Funeral's over. He'll drive home eventually. We need that notebook. Adrian started issuing orders. Torres, Hassan, follow Ethan when he leaves. Wait until he goes inside, then grab the notebook. Don't engage. Don't let him see you. On it. They headed for the door. Kim, start building the redirect. Assume we'll have the codes by tonight. You got it, boss. Adrian turned to Leia. You should rest. I'm not tired. You're shaking. She looked down. Her hands were trembling. Had been since the funeral. I watched my own memorial service. I think I'm allowed to shake. You are, his voice gentled, but you also need to take care of yourself. This is marathon, not a sprint. How long? Until we take them down could be weeks, could be months. Then I don't have months. Eventually someone will recognize me. Not if we're smart about it. Adrian gestured to Celine. Take her to the safe room. Get her cleaned up, change new look. Come on. Celine took Leia's arm. I promise it won't hurt. Much. 2 hours later, Leia stared at herself in a mirror and didn't recognize the woman looking back. Dark brown hair instead of blonde. Green contacts over her natural blue eyes. Makeup that changed the shape of her face made her cheekbones sharper, her nose slightly different. It's temporary, actually, Celine said. The hair will wash out in a few weeks. The contacts you can remove any time. I look like a stranger. That's the point. Celine handed her new clothes jeans, a leather jacket, boots. Nothing like her usual style. Put these on. Complete the transformation. When Leia emerged, Adrian did a double take. I wouldn't have recognized you. Mission accomplished, then. Leia's voice sounded bitter even to her own ears. Hey, he stepped closer. I know this is hard, losing yourself to survive. Have you ever had to become someone else? Yes. The single word held weight. When I killed my father, I stopped being Alessandro Moreau, beloved son. I became Adrian the parasite, the family traitor. Took me years to build a new identity. Did it get easier? No, but it got familiar. He touched her shoulder briefly. You'll adapt. Humans are good at that. Kim's voice crackled over the intercom. Boss, we've got the notebook. Torres and Hassan are on their way back. Good. How long until you can crack the codes? If they're in there, maybe an hour. Get started. Adrian turned back to Leia. You want to see this happen? See what? Us stealing $2 million from the Viscaris, watching them scramble to figure out what went wrong. A smile tugged at Leia's lips, the first genuine one in days. Yeah, I really do. They gathered in the operations center as Kim worked. The notebook sat on the table filled with Ethan's cramped handwriting. Numbers, names, dates, an entire criminal enterprise condensed into 200 pages. He really was meticulous, Torres said, flipping through it. Every transaction documented, every contact listed. Idiot kept a roadmap to his own prosecution, Hassan added. Or insurance, Adrian corrected. He knew the Viscaris might turn on him eventually. This was his leverage. Fat lot of good it did him. Kim looked up from her screen. Got it? Transfer codes, routing numbers, authentication protocols. Everything I need. How long until the transfer? 4 hours. They always move money on Saturday nights. Less scrutiny from banks, fewer people working who might notice irregularities. So we wait. Adrian settled into a chair. And we watch. The next 4 hours crawled by. Leia tried to rest but couldn't. Her mind kept spinning. What if this didn't work? What if the Viscaris caught on? What if it's starting? Kim's voice cut through her spiraling thoughts. Transfer initiated from the Chicago account. Everyone gathered around Kim's screen. Lines of code scrolled past, incomprehensible to Leia, but clearly meaningful to Kim, who was typing faster than seemed humanly possible. Intercepting now, Kim muttered, redirecting to our shell account in the Caymans, covering tracks, and done. Done, Lega leaned forward. That's it. That's it. $2 million just disappeared from Viscari accounts. Kim grinned. They won't notice for at least 12 hours. By then, it'll be bounced through 6 different countries, untraceable. What do we do with the money? Torres asked. Evidence. Adrian's expression was satisfied. We document where it came from, where it was supposed to go, add it to the pile of proof we're building. And then we hit them again and again until they're so busy fighting fires they don't see the real attack coming. Hassan frowned. What real attack? The one where we feed all of this. Adrian gestured to the notebook that screens the evidence to the FBI. Let the federal government do what we can't. Dismantle them legally. You trust the FBI? Kim sounded skeptical. I trust their ambition. Taking down the Viscari family would be a career-making case. Adrian smiled coldly. We just need to make it impossible for them to refuse. Laya's phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, then remembered this was a new phone, a clean number. Nobody should have it, she answered. Hello. You're alive. Ethan's voice made her skin crawl. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Her heart stopped. She looked at Adrian, who was already moving, signaling Kim to trace the call. I don't know what you're talking about, Leia said, fighting to keep her voice steady. Don't play games with me. That body in the casket wasn't you. I know my wife when I see her, or when I don't see her. I'm not your wife. You have the wrong number. The hair's different, the eyes, but I'd recognize your voice anywhere. His breathing was ragged. How did you do it? How did Moreau fake your death? You're insane. I'm hanging up. Wait, desperation crept into his voice. Please, just tell me, are you really alive? Kim was shaking her head, not enough time to trace yet. Leia needed to keep him talking. What difference would it make? She asked. Because if you're alive, then I didn't kill you. I'm not a murderer. The audacity of it stole her breath. You stabbed me. Repeatedly. The only difference between murder and attempted murder is that someone saved me. So it is you. He laughed a broken sound. God, Laia, do you have any idea what you've done? The Viscaris think you're dead. If they find out you're not, they'll what? Try to kill me again. Join the club. This isn't a joke. His voice rose. They'll kill everyone around you. Moreau, his family, anyone who helped you. Is that what you want? What I want is for you to go to prison for attempted murder. That's not going to happen, and we'll see, I saw you. No, you won't, because I have insurance too. His tone shifted, becoming calculating. You think Moreau's the only one with evidence? I've been documenting everything. Every transaction, every meeting, every order Moreau ever gave, including the ones that got people killed. Leia's blood ran cold. She looked at Adrian, whose expression had gone very still. You're bluffing, she said. Ask him about the fire in Brooklyn? March 15th, 2 years ago, warehouse full of people. Moreau ordered it burned to cover a failed shipment. 17 people died. That's a lie. Is it? Ask him. Ethan paused. Or better yet, ask him about Maria Santos. 23 years old, worked as a bookkeeper for a Viscari front company. Started skimming. Moreau personally put a bullet in her head. Stop, Leia whispered. Why? Because you don't want to know who you're really working with. Moreau's no better than the Viscaris. He's just better at hiding it. Kim gave the signal, trace complete, but Leia couldn't hang up. Not yet. Even if that's true, she said slowly, it doesn't excuse what you did to me. No, it doesn't, Ethan's voice cracked. But Leia, please, whatever you're planning with Moreau, don't walk away, disappear. I'll even help you. Just don't do this. Why do you care? Because despite everything, I loved you. I still do. The words hit her like a physical blow. Not because she believed them, but because she'd once been naive enough to think they were true. You don't love me, she said quietly. You never did. You loved having someone you could control, and when I stopped being controllable, you tried to kill me. That's not... Goodbye, Ethan, she hung up. Her hands were shaking again, worse than before. We got him. Kim was typing furiously, calling from a burner phone, but he's at his house. Must have a stash we didn't know about. Is it true? Leia turned to Adrian. The warehouse fire. Maria Santos. Did you? Yes, he didn't flinch. The Pereira house was an accident, sort of. We were destroying evidence of a shipment the Viscaras had seized. Didn't know people were inside until it was too late. And Maria was stealing from us. Had been for months. I gave her a chance to stop. She didn't. His expression was unreadable. So I stopped her. You killed her. I did what was necessary to protect my family. Leia stared at him. This man who'd saved her life, who'd promised to protect her, who'd just admitted to murder without hesitation. You should have told me, she said. Would it have changed anything? Would you have said no to my help if you'd known? The honest answer was no. She would have taken help from the devil himself to escape Ethan. But admitting that felt like crossing a line she couldn't uncross. I don't know, she said finally. Well, now you do know, so decide. Adrian's voice was hard. Stay and help me take down the Viscaras knowing exactly who I am. Or leave and I'll set you up somewhere safe. Your choice. Everyone in the room was watching her. Torres, Hassan, Kim, Celine, waiting to see if she'd break, if she'd run. Leia thought about Ethan's words, about the warehouse fire, about Maria Santos, about all the blood on Adrian's hands. Then she thought about her own hands, about the gun she'd fired at the penthouse, about the choice she'd made to fight instead of flee. I'm staying, she said. Adrian's expression didn't change. You're sure? Stop asking me that. She moved to the table, looked at Ethan's notebook. What's the next target? Celine let out a breath she'd been holding. Torres and Hassan relaxed. Kim went back to her computer. There's a meeting Tuesday, Adrian said, moving to stand beside Laia. Big one. Don Viscari, his captains, several politicians they have in their pocket, discussing expansion into Atlantic City. How do you know? Because I'm invited. They think I'm neutral, a potential ally against the other families moving in on their territory. Are you? I'm whatever I need to be to get in that room. He pointed to a map on the screen. The meeting's at a restaurant they own. Private room, heavy security. You can't wear a wire, Torres said. They'll sweep for electronics. Don't need to, Adrian smiled. I just need to be there when the FBI raids the place. Understanding clicked. You're going to tip them off, anonymously, with enough evidence that they have no choice but to act. Won't they suspect you? They'll suspect everyone. But by the time they figure out it was me, the damage will be done. Adrian looked at each member of his team. This is it. This is how we end them. One coordinated strike that takes down their entire leadership. And if something goes wrong, Hassan asked, then we improvise. Adrian's expression was grim. But nothing's going wrong. We've been planning this too long. Leia wanted to believe him, wanted to think it would be that simple. But Ethan's words kept echoing in her mind, everyone around you will die. What about Ethan, she asked. He knows I'm alive. He'll warn them. Let him. Adrian's smile was cold. Who's going to believe the unstable widower who keeps claiming his dead wife is still alive? He'll sound insane. Unless he has proof. He doesn't. We've been careful. He found this number. That made Adrian pause. How? I don't know, but he did, which means we're not as careful as you think. Silence fell. Kim was already moving checking code, looking for breaches. Torres and Hassan exchanged concerned glances. We need to move up the timeline, Celine said. If there's a leak? There's no leak. Adrian's voice was firm. Ethan got lucky, or he's bluffing. Either way, we proceed as planned. And if he's not bluffing, Leia pressed, if he really does have evidence that could destroy you, then I'll deal with it, like I deal with everything else. Adrian met her eyes. But I'm not accelerating our plans because Ethan Thorne is desperate. That's how mistakes happen. He was right. Leia knew he was right, but the fear coiling in her gut wouldn't let go. What do you need me to do? She asked. Rest, recover, let your wounds heal. Adrian's expression softened slightly. When the raid happens, I need you sharp, ready to testify against both Ethan and the Viscaris. In court, eventually, but first in a deposition, the FBI will want your statement, everything you know about Ethan's operations. I don't know anything. You know more than you think. 7 years of marriage, even one as toxic as yours, you absorbed information. Places he went, people he met, conversations you overheard. Adrian touched her shoulder. Trust me, when the time comes, you'll remember. Leia hoped he was right, Because if this plan failed, if the Viscaris walked free, then everything she'd sacrificed, her identity, her safety, her last shred of innocence, would be for nothing. And that was a price she wasn't willing to pay. The safe house phone rang at 4 in the morning. Leia jerked awake, heart pounding, reaching for a weapon that wasn't there. Across the room, Celine grabbed the receiver. What? Her voice was sharp alert despite the hour. Then her face went pale. When how many? A pause. We're on our way. She slammed down the phone and was moving before Leia could ask. Get dressed. Now. We have maybe 10 minutes. What's happening? Hassan's dead. Torres is missing. And someone just sent Adrian a video of them cutting off his fingers. Leia's stomach dropped. She threw on clothes, ignoring the pain in her still healing wounds. Where's Adrian? Already en route to the location they specified. Celine was loading guns with practiced efficiency. He's walking into a trap, and he knows it. Then why is he going? Because they have Torres, and Adrian doesn't leave his people behind. She thrust a gun into Leia's hands. You remember how to use this? Point and shoot. Don't hesitate. Good. Let's go. They took the back exit, Celine moving fast and silent through pre-dawn darkness. A car waited in the alley, not one of the luxury SUVs, something nondescript and fast. Celine drove like a woman possessed, running red lights, taking corners that made the tires scream. How did they find Hassan? Leia asked, gripping the door handle. I don't know, but it wasn't random. Someone told them where to look. Celine's jaw was tight. We have a rat. Who? That's what we're going to find out, right before I put a bullet in their skull. The GPS led them to the warehouse district. Of course it did, Leia thought bitterly. Everything violent in this city seemed to happen in abandoned warehouses. Celine killed the headlights 3 blocks out, coasting to a stop behind a dumpster. We go in quiet, she said. Find Torres. Get him out. Leave the dying to people who deserve it. What about Adrian? Adrian can take care of himself. But Celine's voice shook slightly. Usually. They approached the warehouse on foot. 2 guards stood outside smoking cigarettes, their weapons visible. Celine moved like smoke coming up behind the first one. Her knife flashed. He went down without a sound. The second guard turned, reaching for his radio. Leia shot him. The sound was deafening in the quiet street. Both women froze. So much for quiet, Celine muttered. Come on. They ran for the entrance. Voices shouted inside, men scrambling, weapons being readied. Celine kicked open the door and started firing. Leia followed her training from the penthouse, attack kicking in. Aim, breathe, squeeze. A man went down, then another. Leia, Adrian's voice somewhere ahead. Get out of here. Not without Torres, she shouted back. She rounded a corner and nearly ran into a man the size of a refrigerator. He grabbed her throat, lifted her off the ground. Her vision started to tunnel. She brought the gun up, pressed it against his ribs, and fired twice. He dropped her, staggering back. Celine finished him with a headshot. This way. Celine pointed to a door marked with fresh blood. They burst through to find Torres tied to a chair in the center of an empty room. His face was a mess of bruises and blood. 3 of his fingers were gained, but he was alive, conscious, and swearing in rapid Spanish. About fucking time, he gasped as Celine cut him free. Can you walk? Can I? Yes, I can walk. I can run. Just get me out of here. Gunfire erupted behind them. Adrian appeared in the doorway, his suit torn and bloody, firing back down the hallway. We need to move. They've got reinforcements coming. How many? Celine helped Torres to his feet. Too many. Adrian ejected an empty magazine, slammed in a new one. There's an exit on the east side. Go. Now. They ran. Torres stumbled, Celine supporting him. Leia stayed close to Adrian, who was covering their retreat. Men appeared from side rooms firing. Adrian put them down with cold precision, but there were too many, always too many. They burst out the east exit into an alley. A black van screeched to a halt, blocking their escape. The side door slid open. Don Viscari stepped out. He looked exactly like his photos. Silver hair, expensive suit, dead eyes. But in person, he radiated a kind of casual menace that made Leia's skin crawl. Mr. Moreau, the Don said pleasantly, thank you for accepting my invitation. Didn't realize I had a choice. Adrian's guns were still raised, but he hadn't fired. Neither had the Don's men. Some kind of standoff protocol Leia didn't understand. There's always a choice. You chose to steal from me. You chose to harbor a woman I wanted dead. You chose to interfere with my operations. The Don smiled. Now I'm choosing how you die. You won't kill me here, won't I? You want it public. A message to everyone else who might think about crossing you. Adrian's voice was steady. Killing me in an alley doesn't accomplish that. The Don's smile widened. Very good, you understand the game. I've been playing it my whole life. Then you know how this ends. The Don gestured and more men appeared from the shadows. At least 20, all armed. You can't win Moreau, even you aren't that good. Maybe not. Adrian's finger tightened on the trigger. But I can take you with me. You could, but then what happens to your sister? Your team, the woman you went to so much trouble to save? The Don's gaze slid to Leia. Hello, Mrs. Thorne. I must say you're looking remarkably healthy for a corpse. Leia couldn't speak, couldn't move. Those dead eyes pinned her in place. Leave her out of this, Adrian said. But she's the whole point. You saved her to spite me, to spite your husband, to prove you could. The Don took a step closer. Except you didn't save her. You just delayed the inevitable. I'm not going back to Ethan, Leia found her voice. I'd rather die. That can be arranged. The Don pulled out a phone, showed her the screen. Video footage of a woman being dragged into a van. The timestamp was from 20 minutes ago. Your mother, I believe, Linda Brennan, age 62, retired school teacher, lives alone in Riverside. The world tilted. You didn't. I did. Insurance, you understand? In case Mr. Moreau decided to be difficult. The Don pocketed his phone. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to come with me, quietly, without resistance, and in exchange, your mother lives. Moreau lives. Everyone lives. Don't listen to him, Adrian said. He's lying. The moment you get in that van, the moment she gets in that van, I let the rest of you walk away. The Don's voice was reasonable, conversational. I'm a businessman, Mr. Moreau. I don't kill unnecessarily, but I do keep my word. Your word means nothing. Then call my bluff. Watch me execute everyone you care about, starting with dear Linda. The Don raised his hand. Somewhere in the darkness, Leia heard her mother scream. Stop! The word tore out of her. Stop, I'll go. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt her. Leia no boashi. Adrian grabbed her arm. She pulled free, met his eyes. I have to. You know I have to. We can find another way. There is no other way. She could hear her mother crying now, begging. The sound shredded her heart. Let me go, Adrian. I can't. You have to. She touched his face, saw real pain in his expression. Take care of Torres. Find the mole. Finish what we started. They'll kill you. Probably, but at least my mother lives. She pulled away before he could stop her again. That's worth something. She walked toward the Don. Each step felt like walking to her execution. Maybe it was. But if her death bought safety for people she loved, then so be it. She'd made peace with dying when Ethan's knife had first pierced her skin. This was just finishing what he'd started. The Don smiled as she approached. Very noble. Stupid, but noble. My mother goes free, you promised. I did. He gestured and another van pulled up. Her mother was shoved out, stumbling, terrified but alive. See, I keep my word. Mom, run, Leia screamed. Linda hesitated, reaching for her daughter. Leia, run. Celine was already moving, grabbing Linda, pulling her toward safety. The older woman fought, crying Leia's name, but Celine was stronger. They disappeared into the shadows. Your turn, the Don said. Leia climbed into the van. Hands grabbed her, zip-tied her, wrists shoved a hood over her head. The door slammed shut. The engine roared to life. Wait, Adrian's voice desperate. Don Viscari, wait. The van didn't slow. Leia heard gunfire, Adrian shooting out the tires, maybe trying to stop them. But the van kept moving faster now. The hood smelled like blood and fear. She tried to control her breathing, tried not to panic. Failed. They drove for what felt like hours but was probably minutes. When the van finally stopped, rough hands hauled her out. She stumbled blind under the hood, trying to remember everything Adrian had taught her about surviving capture. Stay calm. Look for opportunities. Don't give them anything. The hood came off. She was in another warehouse. God, how many warehouses did these people own? This one fitted like an office. Desk chairs, filing cabinets. Civilized trappings hiding uncivilized business. Ethan sat behind the desk. Hello, Laya, he said. Miss me? She lunged at him, hands grabbed her, held her back. She fought anyway, screaming obscenities, trying to claw his eyes out. Ethan just watched, a small smile on his face. Get it out of your system, he said calmly. I'll wait. Eventually she stopped struggling, stood there chest heaving, zip ties cutting into her wrists. Done, Ethan asked. Go to hell. We're already there, baby. Have been for years. He stood, walked around the desk. I told you this would happen. Told you Moreau couldn't protect you. He tried. He failed. Just like he'll fail to stop what's coming next. Ethan pulled out his phone, started a recording. The Don wants a confession on video. You're going to tell him everything you know about Moreau's operations. I'll tell him nothing. You will, eventually. Ethan nodded to one of the guards. Start with her hands, one finger at a time. When she's ready to talk, let me know. The guard pulled out pliers. Leia's bladder loosened. She forced herself to breathe. Ethan, please. You had a choice. Stay dead, stay safe. You chose to come back. Chose to play in a world you don't understand. He leaned close, his breath hot on her face. This is what happens to people who make bad choices. The guard grabbed her hand. She tried to pull away, but there was nowhere to go. The pliers closed around her pinky finger. Last chance, Ethan said. Talk or lose the finger. Leia looked him in the eyes, thought about everything he'd done to her, everything he'd taken, and she made a choice of her own. She spit in his face. Ethan's expression went cold. Do it. The pain was incredible, white-hot and all-consuming. Leia screamed. The finger came free with a wet snap. Blood poured from her hand. She was going to pass out. Gunfire shattered the windows. Everyone dove for cover. Glass rained down. Men were shouting, shooting back. Through the chaos, Leia saw a figure rappelling through the broken window, Adrian, moving like something out of an action movie. He hit the ground, shooting. 3 of the Don's men went down before they could react. Ethan scrambled for a gun. Adrian shot it out of his hand, then crossed the room in 3 strides and put his weapon against Ethan's temple. Move and I paint the walls with your brain, Adrian said quietly. More figures rappelled through the windows. Torres, his hand bandaged but his gun steady. Kim bristling with weapons and tech. Hassan's replacement, a woman Leia didn't recognize, but who fought like she'd been born to it. Everybody on the ground, Torres shouted. Now, oh! The Don's men hesitated. Torres shot one in the knee. The rest dropped. Adrian grabbed Leia, cutting her zip ties with a knife. Can you walk? My finger, he took my finger. I see that, can you walk? I think so. Good, because we need to move. He wrapped her bleeding hand in cloth from his own torn shirt. Torres, secure the prisoners. Kim, wipe any recordings. Hassan, he stopped. Where's the new girl? Right here. The woman appeared, dragging Don Viscari by his collar. Found him trying to escape out the back. The Don's face was bloody but defiant. You just started a war, Moreau. No, you started it when you took her mother. Adrian pressed his gun harder against Ethan's head. I'm just finishing it. You can't kill me. Every family in the set will come after you. Then let them come. Adrian's finger tightened on the trigger. I'm done playing nice. Wait. Leia grabbed his arm. Don't. Not like this. He tortured you. He would have killed you. I know. But if you execute him, you're no better than he is. She met his eyes, saw the rage there, the desperate need for revenge she understood all too well. We do this the right way. We send them to prison. We let them rot there for the rest of their lives. Prison isn't justice for what they've done. Maybe not, but it's what separates us from them. She squeezed his arm. Please, Adrian, don't become what you hate. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then slowly he lowered the gun. Zip tie them all, he told Torres. The FBI is gonna have a very interesting morning. You called the FBI, Ethan's voice was shrill. You bastard, you'll go down too. No, I won't, because unlike you, I'm smart enough to have immunity deals in place. Adrian smiled. Turns out federal prosecutors love cooperating witnesses who can deliver an entire crime family. The Don's expression finally cracked. You're working with the feds. Was. For about 6 months now. Every meeting I attended, every conversation we had, all recorded, all documented, all admissible in court. Adrian gestured to Kim, who held up a small device. Say hello to the jury, Don Viscari. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. They're early, Torres said. I called them the moment the van took Laya. Adrian was moving now, issuing orders securing the scene. Kim makes sure every piece of evidence is documented. Torres checked that none of them have weapons we missed. And someone get a medic for Laya's hand before she bleeds out. The new woman, Hassan's replacement, pulled out a first aid kit. I've got some field training. This is gonna hurt. Can't hurt worse than losing it, Leia said through gritted teeth. She was wrong. The antiseptic felt like liquid fire. The pressure bandage made her see stars. But the woman worked efficiently, and within minutes the bleeding had stopped. You need a hospital, she said. After. Leia stood on shaky legs. I want to watch them get arrested. The FBI arrived with the kind of force reserved for major bus agents pouring out of vehicles, weapons drawn, shouting orders. An older man in a suit approached Adrian with his hand extended. Mr. Moreau, Agent Davidson. We spoke on the phone. Agent, Adrian shook his hand. Everything you need is inside, including the Don himself and Ethan Thorne. Thorne, Davidson's eyebrows rose. He's supposed to be in protective custody. Funny how that works out. Adrian's smile was cold. Seems he was working with the people you were protecting him from. We'll sort it out downtown. Davidson gestured and agents moved in to collect the prisoners. You and your team need to come too. Statements debriefing. Fine, but she needs a hospital first. Adrian pointed to Leia. Ambulance is standing by. Davidson's expression softened as he looked at her. Mrs. Thorne, I'm sorry for what you've been through, but your testimony is going to be crucial in, I'll testify, Leia interrupted, against all of them, whatever you need. Even your husband, especially my husband. Davidson nodded, satisfied. Then let's get you taken care of. The ambulance ride was a blur. EMTs worked on her hand, asking questions she barely heard. They gave her something for the pain that made everything soft and distant. By the time they reached the hospital, she was floating. A surgeon examined her hand, told her things about reattachment and reconstructive surgery that she didn't fully process. They wheeled her into an OR. Someone put a mask over her face and told her to count backward from 10. She made it to 7 before darkness took her. When she woke, Adrian was sitting beside her hospital bed. How long? She asked, her voice rough. 6 hours. They managed to reattach the finger. Won't know if it takes for a few days, but the surgeon's optimistic. He leaned forward. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a truck, then the truck backed up and hit me again. That's about right. His smile was tired. You scared me. When they took you. I know, I scared myself. She looked at her bandaged hand. Is it over in the arrest? Yes. Don Viscari, Ethan 12 of their top people, all in federal custody. No bail. What about the rest of the family? Scattered. Some are trying to take over, but with the Don gone and their finances frozen, it's chaos. They'll tear themselves apart within a month. And are you safe? Safe as I ever am. He touched her uninjured hand. You saved my life today, talking me down from executing the Don. If I'd pulled that trigger. But you didn't. That's what matters. Because of you. His expression was intense, almost vulnerable. You keep saving me, Laya, in ways I don't always understand. She wanted to say something profound, something meaningful, but exhaustion was pulling her back under the pain medication, dragging her toward sleep. Stay, she whispered. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. I promise. She drifted off with his hand in hers, thinking that maybe, just maybe, she'd finally found something worth fighting for. The nightmare woke her 3 hours later. Ethan's face, the pliers, her finger snapping. She jerked upright, crying out, and immediately regretted it as pain shot through her hand. Easy. Adrian was still there, moving to her side. You're safe. It was just a dream. It wasn't a dream. It happened. The attack happened. But it's over now. He can't hurt you anymore. Can't he? She was shaking. He's in jail, not dead. What if he gets out? What if he won't? The charges against him include attempted murder, kidnapping, money laundering, and about 40 other felonies. He's going away for life. You can't know that. Actually, I can, because I personally ensured the evidence against him is airtight. Multiple recordings, paper trails, witnesses. The FBI has enough to put him away 3 times over. Leia wanted to believe him, wanted to feel safe. But safety felt like a foreign concept, something she'd lost so long ago she couldn't remember what it felt like. "What about me?" she asked quietly. "What happens to me now?" "Whatever you want, new identity, new city, new life, I'll arrange everything. And if I don't want to disappear..." Adrian was quiet for a moment. "Then you stay, build a life here. With protection, obviously. My family owes you that much." "I don't want to be someone you owe." "Then what do you want to be?" The question hung in the air between them. Leia didn't have an answer. 6 weeks ago, she'd been a battered wife dying on her kitchen floor. Now she was what? A survivor. A witness. Something else entirely. "I want to matter," she said finally. "I want my life to mean something beyond just surviving." "Then make it mean something." Adrian's voice was gentle. "You've got a second chance, Leia. Not many people get that. Use it. How dash do? However you want. Start a foundation for domestic violence survivors. Write a book. Go back to school. The world's wide open." It sounded impossible. Wonderful and terrifying and completely impossible. "I don't know how to be normal," she admitted. "Nobody who's been through what you have knows how to be normal. But you learn, you adapt, you become something new." He smiled slightly. "Look at me. I went from killing my father to running a semi-legitimate business empire. If I can change, anyone can. Semi-legitimate. I'm working on the rest." His smile faded. "But seriously, Leia, you're free now. Really free, don't waste it." A nurse appeared in the doorway. "I'm sorry, but visiting hours are over." "Give us a minute," Adrian said. "Sir." "I'm his lawyer," Adrian lied smoothly. "We're discussing her upcoming testimony. Federal case, very important." The nurse hesitated, then nodded and left. "Smooth," Leia said. "I've had practice." He stood. "I should go. Let you rest." "Adrian," he paused at the door. "Thank you for everything." "Don't thank me yet. The trial hasn't even started." "I'm not talking about the trial. I'm talking about giving me a reason to live." His expression softened. "You always had reasons to live. You just couldn't see them through the fear. Now you can." After he left, Leia lay in the dark thinking about his words, about freedom and second chances and becoming something new. It still felt impossible, but for the first time in 7 years, it also felt possible. And that was worth more than she could ever say. The courtroom was smaller than Leia expected. She'd imagined something grand, imposing like the ones in movies. Instead, it felt claustrophobic, the walls pressing in as she took the witness stand. Ethan sat 20 feet away, flanked by his lawyers. He looked thinner, paler, nothing like the man who'd terrorized her for 7 years. When their eyes met, he smiled. Small, intimate. The kind of smile he used to give her across the breakfast table. Her hands still bandaged, still aching where her finger had been reattached, clenched the rail of the witness box. "Mrs. Thorne," the prosecutor began, "can you tell the court about the night of March 15th? That's the night my husband tried to kill me." Her voice was steady. She'd practiced this. "He stabbed me 4 times and left me to bleed out on our kitchen floor." "Objection!" Ethan's lawyer shot to his feet. "The defense maintains that my client acted in self-defense after Mrs. Thorne attacked him with..." "Overruled." The judge's voice was sharp. "The witness will continue." Leia told him everything. The knife, the blood, waking up in Adrian's mansion, the funeral where she'd watched her own memorial service. She told him about the viscaras, the torture, the finger. She didn't cry, didn't break, just laid out the facts like she was reciting a grocery list. When she finished, Ethan's lawyer stood for cross-examination. "Mrs. Thorne, isn't it true that you were having an affair with Adrian Moreau?" The question was designed to rattle her. It didn't. "No." "Then how do you explain the fact that you were living in his home, sleeping under his roof, taking his money?" "He saved my life. Where else was I supposed to go?" "To the police, to a hospital, to literally anywhere except the home of a known criminal." The lawyer moved closer. "Unless you were already involved with him before the alleged attack." "There was nothing alleged about it. Your client stabbed me 4 times. I have scars to prove it. Scars that could have come from anywhere. From anyone." The lawyer's smile was oily. including from Adrian Moreau, who has a documented history of violence against women. Objection. The prosecutor was on his feet. I'll allow it, the judge said, but counsel tread carefully. The lawyer pulled out a file. I have here documentation of 3 separate assault charges filed against Adrian Moreau between 2019 and 2022, all by women, all dropped before trial. Interesting pattern, don't you think? Leia's stomach twisted. She looked at Adrian sitting in the gallery. His expression was carefully neutral, but she could see the tension in his jaw. I don't know anything about that, she said. Of course you don't, because Mr. Moreau is very good at hiding his true nature, just like he hid his criminal enterprise, just like he hid the fact that he was using you to get to my client. That's not true. Isn't it you expect this court to believe that a powerful crime boss rescued you out of the goodness of his heart, that there was no ulterior motive? He saved me because Ethan owed him money. He told me that from the beginning. Ah, yes, the alleged debt. Funny how no documentation of this debt exists anywhere. No contracts, no agreements, nothing. The lawyer leaned on the witness box. What does exist is a very convenient alliance between you and Mr. Moreau that resulted in my client's arrest and the dismantling of the Viscari family. Quite a coincidence. It wasn't a coincidence. It was justice. Or it was a conspiracy to eliminate my client's business partners so Mr. Moreau could take over their territory. The lawyer's voice rose. And you, Mrs. Thorne, were his willing accomplice. That's insane. Is it? Let's talk about your funeral. The body you and Mr. Moreau placed in that casket, where did it come from? Leia's mouth went dry. I don't know. You don't know or you won't say? Because procuring a corpse to fake your own death is a serious crime. One that makes you an accessory to objection. The prosecutor slammed his hand on the table. Counsel is badgering the witness and making wild accusations without evidence. Sustained, counselor, get to a question or sit down. The lawyer smiled. Just one more question, Your Honor. Mrs. Thorne, how much money has Adrian Moreau paid you to testify here today? Nothing. He hasn't paid me anything. Really, because bank records show a deposit of $50,000 into an account under your maiden name 2 weeks ago. Care to explain that? Leia's heart stopped. She had no idea what he was talking about. She looked at Adrian again. His expression had shifted anger, now directed at his own lawyer, who was whispering furiously in his ear. I don't have an account under my maiden name. Then someone opened one in your name and deposited exactly $50,000, the same amount Mr. Moreau withdrew from his personal account on the same day. The lawyer held up bank statements. Quite a coincidence. I never touched that money. I didn't even know it existed. Of course you didn't. The lawyer's tone was mocking. No further questions. Leia stepped down on shaking legs. She wanted to run to Adrian, demand answers, but the prosecutor was already calling his next witness. She took a seat in the gallery, her mind spinning. $50,000. Why would Adrian deposit money in her name without telling her? Unless it was a setup. Someone trying to discredit her testimony by making it look like she'd been paid off. The thought made her sick. The trial continued for 3 more hours. Expert witnesses testified about the stab wounds, the blood spatter patterns, the forensic evidence that proved Ethan had attacked her. His lawyers countered with their own experts claiming self-defense, temporary insanity, anything to avoid a murder conviction. When court finally adjourned for the day, Leia pushed through the crowd, looking for Adrian. She found him in the hallway surrounded by reporters shouting questions. Mr. Moreau, is it true you paid the witness? Did you fake Mrs. Thorne's death? Are you involved romantically with Mrs. Thorne? Adrian ignored them all, his eyes finding Leia's. He pushed through the crowd, grabbed her arm, and pulled her into an empty conference room. The door slammed shut, muffling the reporters' voices. That money, Leia said immediately. I didn't know about it, I swear. I know. It wasn't me either. Then who? Someone trying to discredit your testimony? Make you look like a bought witness. His jaw was tight. We need to figure out who and how they accessed my accounts. Kim can't trace it. She's trying, but whoever did this knew what they were doing, covered their tracks. Could it be the Viscaris one last attempt to... No, they're too scattered right now. This is someone closer. Adrian's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and his face went pale. We need to go. Now. What's wrong? Your mother. Someone just tried to grab her from her home. The world tilted. Is she... She's safe. Torres got there first, but this is escalating. He was already moving toward the door. Someone wants to stop this trial, and they're willing to go through everyone we care about to do it. They took Adrian's car, driving too fast through city traffic. Leah's phone rang, unknown number. She almost ignored it, then thought about her mother and answered. Hello? You looking good on the stand today? A male voice, unfamiliar, distorted. Very convincing. Who is this? Someone who wants you to stop talking. Drop the charges against Ethan. Refuse to testify further. Not happening. Then your mother dies, tonight, and it won't be quick. Leah's hand shook. You touch her and what you'll call the police, Adrian Moreau, they can't protect her. No one can. The voice dropped lower. But I can. Drop the charges and she lives. Keep testifying and I'll send you pieces of her until you change your mind. The line went dead. He threatened my mother, Leah whispered. Adrian was already on his phone. Torres double security on Linda Brennan. No one gets within 50 feet of her. I don't care if you have to camp in her living room, keep her safe. A pause. No, the trial continues. We're not backing down. Adrian, I know you're scared, but if we give in now, they win. And they'll just keep threatening you, keep taking pieces until there's nothing left. What if something happens to her? It won't. I won't let it. You can't promise that. Watch me. His voice was steel. I've got the best security team in the city protecting your mother, the best tech analysts tracking whoever made that call, and the full resources of the FBI looking for whoever deposited that money in your name. We will find them. They reached her mother's house to find it surrounded by black SUVs. Torres met them at the door looking grim. Two men tried to breach the back door. We got one, the other escaped. Where's the one you caught? Basement. Waiting for you. Adrian headed for the stairs. Leah followed before anyone could stop her. The basement had been converted into a makeshift interrogation room, the man zip-tied to a chair, his face bloody from resisting capture. Who sent you? Adrian's voice was conversational, almost friendly. Go to hell. Wrong answer. Adrian nodded to Torres, who stepped forward and broke the man's finger with a sharp twist. The man screamed. Adrian, Leah grabbed his arm. You can't. This is war. And in war, you do what's necessary. He looked at the man. Last chance. Who sent you? I don't know. I swear I got a text with an address and 20 grand to grab the old lady. That's all I know. Show me the text. Phone's in my pocket. Torres retrieved it, handed it to Kim, who'd appeared at the top of the stairs. She ran it through her laptop, her fingers flying. Burner phone, she said after a minute. But they made a mistake, used it to call someone else first. Got a number. Who's? Kim's expression went strange. Marguerite Moreau. Silence fell like a hammer. That's impossible, Adrian said quietly. My mother wouldn't. The call was made this morning, lasted 47 seconds. Then the phone was used to text this guy with the job. Kim looked up. I'm sorry, boss, but the evidence is clear. Adrian's face had gone blank. Leah had seen him angry, seen him calculating, but this was different. This was betrayal cutting deeper than any knife. Where is she? He asked. Your mother at the family estate. She's been there all day, according to her security detail. Then that's where we're going. Adrian was already climbing the stairs. Leah, you stay here with your mother. Like hell I do. If your mother's behind this, then it's family business. You don't need to be there. She tried to kill my mother. That makes it my business. They stared at each other. Then Adrian nodded slowly. Fine, but you do exactly what I say when I say it. Understood. Understood. The drive to the Moreau estate took 30 minutes. The gates opened automatically, facial recognition, Adrian explained tersely. They drove up a long tree-lined drive to a mansion that made his other properties look modest. Marguerite was in the garden cutting roses. She looked up as they approached, her expression pleasant. Adrian, what a lovely surprise. And Mrs. Thorne, how is your hand healing? Cut the act, mother. Adrian's voice was ice. We know you hired those men. I have no idea what you're talking about. Your phone, the burner, the calls. He held up Kim's laptop, showing the evidence. It's over. Marguerite set down her shears. Clever, but circumstantial. Anyone could have accessed my phone. Why? The question came out raw. Why would you do this? Because you're destroying this family. Marguerite's pleasant mask cracked. Working with the FBI testifying against the Viscaras, you've made us targets. Every family in this city now sees us as traitors. The Viscaris tried to kill Leia, kill me. What was I supposed to do? Let her die. Marguerite's voice rose. She's nobody, a battered wife with no connections, no power, nothing, and you risked everything for her. She's a person. She deserved to live. She deserved what her husband gave her, a quick death instead of a slow one trapped in our world. Marguerite's eyes were cold. But you saved her, made her your pet project. And now look where we are. The FBI crawling through our businesses, our allies abandoning us, all because you couldn't let one woman die. Leia felt like she'd been punched. You think I should have died? I think you're a liability, one I intend to eliminate. Marguerite pulled a gun from her gardening apron. Small, elegant, deadly. She pointed it at Leia. Step away from her, Adrian. Mother, don't do this. I'm protecting our family, something you should have done from the beginning. Her finger tightened on the trigger. Close your eyes, dear. This will be quick. Adrian moved, fast, putting himself between Leia and the gun. Adrian, no. Leia tried to pull him back. Shoot her and you shoot me, Adrian said quietly. Is that what you want, Mother, to kill your own son? Marguerite's hand trembled. Move aside. No. I will shoot through you if I have to. Then do it, because I'm not letting you hurt her. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Celine's voice cut through the tension. Put the gun down, Mother. She stood in the garden doorway, her own weapon raised, pointed at Marguerite. Celine? Marguerite's voice shook. You too. You're choosing this woman over your own family. I'm choosing right over wrong, something you taught me before you forgot what those words meant. Celine's voice was steady. Put it down, please. You don't understand what I'm protecting. I understand you're about to murder an innocent woman. That's all I need to know. Marguerite looked between her children, saw the resolve in their faces. Slowly, she lowered the gun. You've destroyed us, she whispered. Both of you. No, Mother, you did that yourself. Adrian took the gun from her hand. Torres, take her into custody. Torres stepped forward, zip-tied Marguerite's hands with professional efficiency. She didn't resist, just stared at Adrian like she didn't recognize him. I was protecting you, she said, by becoming exactly what we're fighting against, by trying to murder someone under my protection. Adrian's voice was hollow. You taught me honor meant something. Loyalty meant something. But apparently those only apply when it's convenient. Or, don't. Just don't. He turned away. Get her out of here. Torres led Marguerite toward the house. She went quietly, all the fight drained out of her. Celine lowered her gun, her hands shaking now. I'm sorry, she said to Adrian. I should have seen this coming. Should have. It's not your fault. He pulled her into a hug. None of this is your fault. Leia stood there feeling like an intruder in their family tragedy. This was her fault. If she'd just stayed dead, none of this would have happened. Stop it, Adrian said, reading her expression. This isn't on you. My mother made her choices. She has to live with them. Your family's falling apart because of me. My family was already broken. You just exposed the cracks. He touched her face gently. Come on, let's get you back to your mother. The drive back was silent. When they reached her mother's house, Linda was waiting on the porch wrapped in a blanket despite the warm evening. She stood when she saw Leia, her face crumpling. Baby. Leia ran around her, fell into her arms, and finally let herself cry. All the fear, the pain, the trauma of the past weeks came pouring out in great heaving sobs. Linda held her, rocking her like she was 5 years old again. I'm so sorry, Leia gasped. I'm so sorry I dragged you into this. Hush, you didn't drag me anywhere. That monster you married did this, not you. Linda pulled back, looked at her daughter's face. Are you okay? Really okay? I don't know. Ask me in a year. Fair enough. Linda looked over Leia's shoulder at Adrian. You, inside, now. Adrian followed them into the house. Linda pointed at the couch. Sit. He sat. My daughter has been through hell, literal hell, and from what I can tell, you're the only reason she's still alive. Linda crossed her arms. So I'm going to ask you one question, and I want the honest answer. What are your intentions toward her mother? Leia's face burned. I'm serious. This man has dragged you into gunfights and trials and God knows what else. I need to know if he's planning to stick around or if he's going to disappear the moment this is over. Adrian looked at Leia. That's her choice, not mine. Wrong answer. Linda's voice was sharp. Her choice about what she wants. Your answer about what you're offering. I'm offering protection, support, whatever she needs to rebuild her life. And friendship, if she wants it. Linda studied him for a long moment. Then she sighed. You love her. Mother, it's written all over your face, young man. Don't try to deny it. Adrian was silent. Then quietly, yes. The single word hung in the air. Leia couldn't breathe. And you, Linda turned to her daughter. How do you feel about him? I don't know. Everything's so complicated and I'm still legally married and do you love him? Did she? Leia looked at Adrian, at the man who'd saved her life multiple times, who'd stood between her and a bullet, who'd turned his back on his own mother to protect her. Yes, she whispered. I think I do. Adrian's expression transformed, hope and fear in something that might have been joy. Then it settled. Linda clapped her hands together. You two figure your lives out, but first trials and divorces and all that legal nonsense. Then we can talk about feelings. Mother, we are not discussing this right now. Why not? You almost died today, both of you. If that doesn't earn you the right to talk about feelings, nothing does. Linda smiled. Now I'm making dinner. You're both staying, and you're going to eat like civilized people instead of running around getting shot at. Dinner was surprisingly normal. Linda made pot roast and mashed potatoes. They sat at her kitchen table and talked about ordinary things, the weather, a book. Linda was reading a show on TV. For 2 hours, they pretended to be normal people living normal lives. It was the best 2 hours Leia had experienced in years. When they finally left, Adrian walked Leia to the door. They stood there, the night air cool against their skin. Your mother's terrifying, he said. She likes you. How can you tell? She didn't threaten to shoot you. That's practically a declaration of love from her. Leia smiled. What happens now? The trial continues. We put Ethan away. We deal with the fallout from my mother's arrest. He touched her hand carefully, mindful of her injury. And then we figure out what comes after. What do you want to come after? Honestly, I want to take you somewhere quiet, somewhere safe, and spend about 6 months doing absolutely nothing. That sounds perfect. But first we finish this. His expression hardened. Ethan goes to prison. The Viscaris stay dismantled. And everyone who tried to hurt you answers for it, including your mother, especially my mother. Pain flickered across his face. She made her choice. Now she lives with the consequences. Leia kissed his cheek. Thank you for everything. Don't thank me yet. The trial's not over. But it almost was. Over the next 3 weeks, the prosecution methodically dismantled Ethan's defense. Witness after witness testified about his crimes, his violence, his betrayals. The jury saw photos of Leia's wounds, heard recordings of his threats, watched video of him torturing her. When the verdict came back guilty on all counts, Ethan's face went white. He looked at Leia across the courtroom. She met his eyes without flinching. I loved you, he mouthed. You never knew what love was, she mouthed back. The judge sentenced him to life without parole. As they led him away in handcuffs, Ethan started screaming accusations, threats, promises of revenge. The bailiffs dragged him out, still shouting. The courtroom doors closed. Silence fell. It's over, Adrian said quietly. Is it? Leia looked at her hands, at the scar where her wedding ring used to be, at the bandaged finger that would never quite work right again. Feels like it's just beginning. Then let's begin. He took her hand. Together. 6 months later, Leia stood on a beach in Costa Rica watching the sunset over the Pacific. Her divorce was final. Ethan's appeals had been denied. The Viscari family had collapsed into infighting and arrests. Marguerite was serving 10 years for conspiracy and attempted murder. And Leia was free. Really, truly free. Adrian came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? How different everything is. How different I am. Better different or worse different? Just different. The woman I was 7 months ago wouldn't recognize me. Good, she was trapped. You're not. Leia turned in his arms, looked up at him. What about you? Do you have regrets? About saving you never, about everything that came after. He smiled. Sometimes, but I'd do it all again. Even losing your mother. I didn't lose her. She lost herself. He touched Leia's face. But I found you. That's worth everything. They kissed as the sun sank below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson. When they finally pulled apart, Leia felt something she'd almost forgotten existed. Peace. So what's next? Adrian asked. I don't know. I've spent so long running from my past, I haven't thought about my future. Then start now. What do you want? Leia looked at the ocean, at the endless possibilities stretching before her. For the first time in her adult life, the choice was entirely hers. I want to help other women, the ones still trapped like I was. I want to start a foundation. Give them resources to escape, to rebuild, to survive. Then we'll do it, whatever you need. Just like that. Just like that, he smiled. You survived the unsurvivable, Leia. Time to help others do the same. She kissed him again, tasting salt and possibility and hope. Somewhere behind them, her phone rang. Probably her mother, probably checking in for the third time that day. But for once, Leia ignored it. Let herself just be present in this moment, with this man who'd given her everything by refusing to let her die. The bleeding had stopped. The wounds were healing. And Leia Thorne, no, not Thorne anymore, never. Thorne again was finally beautifully, impossibly alive. Not as someone's victim, not as someone's wife, not as someone's pawn in a game she didn't understand, just as herself, scarred, fierce, and utterly unbreakable. And that was more than enough.